Good evening and welcome to this SBC News Election Edition. I'm Peter Hume, and joining me in the studio this evening is political commentator and prominent Zealandian journalist Lindsay Brush. Lindsay, good evening.
Good evening, Peter. It's good to be able to take part in tonight's proceedings.
Tonight, while the votes are counted, Lindsay and I will be discussing the election and the candidates. We will announce results as soon as they come to hand.
I understand that underdog Buddy Wright has polled very well in the last few days.
He certainly has. And with that, let's go to the candidates.
So, three very strong candidates then?
Polls indicated a strong percentage thought Fowler would take it, but Coles seemed to be another strong poller. Wright has stormed up from behind to take second place so far.
It's all rather confusing, isn't it?
We're getting the first results in now from Austin. The first votes that have been counted show 2 for Anthony Fowler.
But we have more results on the way, correct?
The Electoral Office suggests about 10 votes so far, but we will see. So, Lindsay, what are your thoughts on Mr. Fowler, given that you are Zealandian?
Apart from the fact he's socialist and Sirocco is conservative, I think it'd be good for you people. He seems to be a very competent leader and it would most likely bring Sirocco and Zealandia closer together.
What about Mr. Coles and Mr. Wright?
Mr. Coles, as Vice Premier, seems to be doing an okay job. I'm not too sure that he'd be the best for the job, given the poor communications link between Alston and Ridgelow, but we could be in for a surprise should he win.
And Mr. Wright?
He has a poor track record of participating in Siroccan affairs. He might be a good, strong figurehead, but I'm still a bit wary.
I'll just have to stop you there because we have more results now. Mr. Fowler is currently at 3, Mr. Wright at 2 and Mr. Coles at 1.
It looks like Mr. Wright is giving quite a challenge against Mr. Fowler.
Well, the SBC took a poll a few days ago as to whom some micro-nationalists in the micro-wiki community would support, and it seems that Mr. Fowler had their support. But outside of the community, Mr. Wright had some backing, but we didn't think this much.
Personally, I thought Mr. Fowler would have been the victor with little opposition, but with 2 more votes he'd be in the lead.
So what do you think is required for the office of Chancellor?
I think having a keen interest in Siroccan affairs and a good working relationship with the Premier is key. I've heard word that there could be some governmental reforms on the way, however I'm not too sure.
I've heard those rumours too. We seem to be getting more results in now. Mr. Fowler is currently at 3, Mr. Wright at 3 and Mr. Coles at 2.
This election could go either way. Only about 70% of the votes have been counted so far, and I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Coles especially sneaks up and takes it.
It's been quite a surprising election from 3 very able candidates, actually. Personally, I would have gone for Mr. Coles possibly, or failing that Mr. Wright. They both have a lot of potential within Sirocco for bringing the nation further along.
It'll be a fair surprise if the first Siroccan Chancellor is Zealandian and not Siroccan. But maybe the perspective and ideas from someone in international circles might be more concrete than that of an interior minister.
Mind you, as internal citizens, Mrs. Coles and Wright will possibly be able to see problems as Siroccans. Internationals might not be able to see where the errors lie, but with more results coming to hand now we shall see.
They are 2 different perspectives. Maybe a coalition of both could be necessary.
It doesn't look like there will be a coalition this time. The results tally has been updated with Mr. Fowler at 5 votes, Mr. Wright at 3 and Mr. Coles at 2.
When can we expect the vote counting to finish?
I would say not long. But looking at the results so far indicate a Zealandian victory in this election, surprisingly enough.
Makes me proud.
It most likely would. Oh, hang on, we're getting the final results in now.
And they are.
Yes, it appears that Mr. Anthony Fowler has come out victorious in this election. The Electoral Office has said that the final results are as follows: Mr. Fowler 5, Mr. Wright 3, Mr. Coles 2. Those are the final results of the election tonight.
So Sirocco has ended up with a Zealandian chancellor. It sounds odd, but if Mr. Fowler does a good job, I suppose he might be re-elected in 2012, pending his capabilities, of course.
So that's it for tonight's SBC News election special, with Mr. Anthony Fowler having been elected the nation's first ever Chancellor. I'd like to thank Lindsay Brush for coming into the studio this evening.
Thank you, Peter. It has been a pleasure.
And thank you for watching. Good night.